Hello everyone. Very good morning to all of you. Yes, am I audible to all of you? Yes, hello Ashwini, hello Bhanupriya. Am I audible to all of you? Good. Just give me a minute. Okay, yes. Okay. Everyone, am I visible to all of you? Very well. Good. So, is there any question, any query related to last lecture? Yes, is there any question, any query related to last lecture? If you have, please let me know. Yes, this is my introduction. My name is Harshvardhan Singh, those who are new here, and I'm here to take the lecture of international relation. And along with that, in this platform, I'm going to conduct the lecture of economics as well as I'm going to conduct the lecture of history optional. And right now, I'm conducting the lecture of world history as well. If you want to connect with me, then 8:30 a.m. I'm there for you. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yes, Unacademy is having around 15,000 courses. You can take subscription of Unacademy, and I insist you to take subscription of Unacademy for at least a year so that you will get the most benefits of it. There are two options, plus as well as iconic, and whenever you want to take the admission, you can, if you can use my code HARSHV10, you will get the discount of 10% at the same time. Clear? So in the last lecture we discussed about the first phase of Indian foreign policy. As we mentioned that there are three phases of Indian foreign policy. The first phase is belongs to 1947 to 1962. So quick recap of last lecture, that is 1947 to 1962. This is the first phase of Indian independence, and this phase was dominated by Nehruvian vision. Yes, and Nehruvian vision was basically based on a policy of peace. The most important aspect of it is now non-alignment movement. Clear? So there are others. There are other factors we also discussed in the last lecture related to the same. That is Nehruvian vision. What were the drawbacks and all. So we all discussed this thing in the last lecture. Yes, along with that, the most important setback was Chinese invasion, because we mentioned that in 1955 we had a pact with China, and that is known as Panchashil. It is based on peaceful coexistence, mutually respecting the territory, mutually assuring non-expansion, non-aggression. So such kind of universal principles were there, but still, China attacked India over the border dispute, and it was a really setback for India as well, personally as well as Nehru, because we never thought that China is going to betray India, because India is the first country in the world which recognizes communist China, that is People's Republic of China. When they established themselves, India was the first country in the world who recognized them. Along with that, we always support their claim, and some of you might have a misconception regarding that India gave layoff to them when India was offered UNSC and all seat in UNSC. So it was not the case. We thought say a different thing, because China was having permanent membership because of the population, and we do not want any enmity at that time. So our then foreign minister thought that it's better that China is going to provide the leadership for Asia. Clear? We were lots of problem at that time. Okay. So when we supported the claim of China, when we had a friendly pact with them, still China invaded, and that was a bigger blow for India. And then we changes the approach of foreign policy, and that approach is self-help approach. But it doesn't mean India dropped the path of peace. India kept a safe distance from broad framework of foreign policy. It doesn't mean that they all are inherent part of foreign policy, but with slight changes. But with the slight changes, we introduce the same policy. Clear? So as of now, what we mention here, the self-help approach, what exactly it is. So one criticism was there during the 1962 Indo-China War, that is India focuses more on internationalism. Spelling is you can manage. India focused more on internationalism and negated domestic requirement. A very important attack, a personal attack over the Nehru, is that you focused more on internationalism and less focused or negated the domestic requirement, and that domestic requirement was basically related to strengthening armed forces. It was a need, but we didn't negate it purposely. India doesn't have financial resources at that time, and India was having strong army, as we proved ourselves. But we never thought that there is a scope of any direct war in near future. So that is a mistake, we can say, in one sense. So now, after this China war, India focuses on this, that is strengthening armed forces, and that is known as self-help approach. Clear? So this policy change is because of aftermath of Chinese attack. The most important feature of this policy change is India embark upon substantial program of military modernization. Yes, military modernization. And why it was so? Because when Indo-China war was there, when Indo-China war was there, at that time it is said that 8 Indian men is having one rifle. Just imagine, the arms and ammunition was so less, but forces were more, and that's why we decided to modernize our armed forces, so that there will be not such a case. Clear? So what exactly the modernization means and why it is required? Because China is a threat for India from then onwards. And if you want to protect yourself, then you should be self-sufficient, you should be strong. Clear? So India adopted this approach. But after the death of Jawaharlal Nehru, when Shastri ji became the Prime Minister of India, he didn't abandon the policy of NAM. He didn't abandon policy of NAM, as well as he didn't take a separate path. What he did? He just followed the broad framework. He just followed the broad framework, clear, with more realistic approach. It is not just related with the what we can say diplomacy. It's related with the benefit of the country in all sense, that is political, socio and economic. Clear? So here we are mentioning that after Nehru, when Shastriji became the Prime Minister, he didn't abandon the NAM but started acquiring more realistic, this word is important, more realistic orientation in multiple sense, and this multiple sense symbolize political, economic, social. Clear? At the same time, I'm telling you which are the events which shape the policy. At the same time, Cold War was taking shape in India. This is the period when Cold War was taking shape in India, and very best example is of Vietnam. Yes, very best example is Vietnam. What exactly the situation of Vietnam is there? So we are going to discuss in the World History lecture. Here I just want to tell you that Vietnam was basically divided into two at that time, North, South. North was under communist government, South was under capitalist government, clear? And USA supported it. USA supported it. This was a period as USA doesn't have anything to do with Vietnam, but as it was a Cold War and which is based on ideology, when communist is there, capitalist going to attack them. So such type of madness was prevalent at that time. And right now, earlier the Cold Wars was there in Europe. Now it entered into Asia. Means where there is a communist country, capital is going to support the other. It was a phenomenon. So it was going to take the shape in India. And as India followed the policy of NAM, that means not related with any country, neither capitalist nor communist. So India saved herself from the madness, but Pakistan fall, Pakistan fall into this trap. How? Pakistan became a member of SETO and CENTO. SETO, the next version of SETO is CENTO, Southeast Treaty Organization, then Central Treaty Organization. It's basically a bloc, a US supported bloc, and through this US supported Pakistan in many sense. And why USA wants to support Pakistan? What's the benefit for USA? Whether Pakistan is having any oil? Whether Pakistan is having any oil? Yes, I am asking the question to you. What do you think? Why Pakistan got the support from United States? Yes. Yes, Bhanupriya, Ashwini, others. Yes, everyone. Please respond so that I will get to know are you there or not, whether you're getting it or not. Yes, everyone. Yes, everyone. What do you think? Why USA supported Pakistan? Why USA supported Pakistan? Do they have oil resources? Do they have energy resources? Do they have, or we can say, whether they were technological superpower at that time? Yes, everyone. I'm asking you. No response. Hey, good morning, good morning, good morning. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Yes, what do you think? Why USA supported Pakistan? No response at all. Any wild guess? I'm not expecting a perfect answer from you. I'm expecting at least a wild guess. What do you think? Any logic you can use here, please. A rivalry purpose? Rivalry with whom, Ashwini? What do you think? From where? And do you really think so that USA was having rivalry with any Asian country at that time? Preeti said they want ally in South Asia. Okay, but what's the use of it? What do you think? They just want ally, a friend. Don't you think so? You're going to meet any person as a friend if you don't have any mutual benefits. If a country wants other country to be friend, then mutual benefits are always there. Russia is a friend of India, Ashwini said. Just imagine when the CENTO was signed. When CETO was signed, when CENTO was signed. At that time, India and Russia was not that much close, and India adopted a policy of non-alignment, a separate thing. So it is not any fear of India. What they want, as some of you quite aware of this, as I mentioned here the word is that Cold War taking shape in Asia. As I gave the example of Vietnam, don't you think so? US was busy in Vietnam, so they required some local support to tackle the Vietnamese issue. At the same time, China China is a communist country. At the same time, here, let's take example. India is there, Pakistan is there, China is there, over China, Russia is there, and all. Clear? China, a communist country, Russia is a communist country, and India is a country of non-alignment. And USA was having problem with USSR? No. USA was having problem with all the communist countries in the world, and Vietnam was one of them. So all the communist countries are enemy of USA at that time. So such type of madness was prevalent. Clear? So to tackle communism, USA want a friend in Asia. To tackle communism, USA want friend in Asia. So they cannot take help from China because communist India was not going to help US in that manner. Afghanistan was having close proximity with Russia because USSR at that time, and Pakistan was the only independent country at that time which can fall into trap of USA. And why it is so? Because of military rule. Yes, Pak had a strong military at that time, and there was a race of being superpower between USA and Russia. Yes, Cold War politics always played a role, but why they want to take help of Pakistan? Because through Pakistan they can tackle. I just want to clear this mess first. So here is India, here is Pakistan, here is China, here is Russia. Clear? Through Pakistan, US want to control China, US want to control Russia, US want to control Afghanistan, US want to control Vietnam. Clear? And why Pakistan is going to help USA? For mutual benefits. And why US was so confident? Because Pakistan was having military rule at that time. Clear? Military rule. And military rule, what they required? A powerful weapons, arms, ammunition. And US is like loot low. Big billion days sale is there. Just take it. It's like the approach. So Pakistan full-fledged supported them. So Pakistan became the member of SATO, that is Southeast Treaty Organization, then Central Treaty Organization. It is based for security purpose on the basis of NATO. Clear? NATO में जो था उसी प्रकार से ये सारी. Next thing. Now Pakistan was supported by USA. India was supported by Russia for some time, but we don't have that much strong relation which was developed in latter phase. It was just a relation because USA rejected India, USA didn't support India. And why? Because USA follow real politics and they don't find any purpose or interest from Indian side. Means they said that India doesn't going to help USA in that manner. Clear? So they supported Pakistan rather than India. Now when India started its own project, okay, something is missing. Something is yes, here it is. After Shastri, as you know that Shastri died so early. Shastri died so early, and after that Indira Gandhi became the head of the state. Okay. Okay, 1 point something missing here. Okay, sorry. So what happened? What happened in 1963? China conducted nuclear test. China conducted nuclear test, and India was having fear of it. India was having fear of it. What to do? Because we just had a war with China, and now China is having nuclear power, so we are having fear from that side. So after the death of Shastriji, when Indira Gandhi became the Prime Minister of India, she started a project, and the name of that project is SNEP. The name of that project is SNEP. It means Subterranean Nuclear Explosion Project. Subterranean Nuclear Explosion Project. So what exactly it is that? It is a nuclear program of India. It is a nuclear program of India. India wants help from other countries in the wake of Chinese nuclear test. India wants help from other countries. Yes. India wants help from other countries in the wake of Chinese nuclear test. But as you know that it was a period of Cold War, and India was having good relation with USSR, and because of that reason USA was not happy with it, and USA didn't supported India. Clear? USA didn't supported India. Okay, so when we started the project, before that what happened in 1963, India signed the PTBT, that is partial ban partial ban treaty, PTBT, and then we know NPT, non-nuclear proliferation treaty. So it was a partial ban treaty, as India's aim was basically related to disarmament. India's commitment was towards the disarmament was there. So before Chinese nuclear test, India signed PTBT. Clear? But once in 1963-64, once China conducted nuclear test, India started its program of SNEP, and the resultant of that, India conducted the first nuclear test in May 1974. India conducted a first test in May 1974. Do you know the name of this project? Do you know the name of the project? Yes, any one of you, do you know the name of the project? None of you? Do you know the name of project, or none of you? Please let me know. What's the name of that project? Yes, everyone, please let me know. Yes, Preeti is there, Ashwini, Bhanupriya. Yes, what's the name of that project? When India conducted its first nuclear test in 1974. Sankalpa, my question is basically when India conducted its first nuclear test in May 1974, what's the name of that project? Means every project has a name. Just example we mentioned when we started our nuclear program, it is known as SNEP, that is Subterranean Nuclear Explosion Project. So after conducting them, what's the name of this project? Vasudha said Smiling Buddha or Laughing Buddha. Smiling Buddha or Laughing Buddha? Yes, exactly. Smiling Buddha. And remember one thing, we use the name Buddha as it is a symbol of peace. That means this suggests that India is going to use nuclear energy for peace. Clear? This is a suggestion that India developed nuclear weapon not to destroy the world for but for peaceful utilization of nuclear energy. Clear? So it was the case. And the same place as where the 1999 India again conducted next nuclear test, that is known as Operation Shakti. Pokhran is the area where both tests were conducted. What happened here? As we mentioned, in 63 India signed PTBT, that is Partial Test Ban Treaty, but later on refused to sign NPT, that is Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. Why it is so? Because in 1963 India was committed toward disarmament, but when China conducted a nuclear test, India felt insecure. Now because of insecurity we refuse to sign that, and the resultant of that insecurity is a form of first nuclear test, Smiling Buddha. Clear? Next thing, here in 1965, some of you are quite aware of this Indo-Pak War. Some of you quite aware of this Indo-Pak War. As we mentioned that Pak, that is Pakistan, was supported by USA, as Pakistan was a member of CENTO. Clear? Along with that, Pakistan thought that in 1962 China defeated India. China defeated India. India doesn't have that much arms and ammunition, so it was easy for them to defeat India. But it was their biggest mistake. And why it is so? Because just after 62 we started a new policy, and that new policy is known as self-help policy. To strengthen ourselves, what we did, we started strengthening ourselves, modernization of arms and ammunition, we did it, and the resultant of that is in this war, Indo-Pakistan war, defeat of Pakistan. Defeat of Pakistan. But when India and Pakistan was fighting the war, it was very difficult for USA to take a decision. It was very difficult for USA to take decision. So in Pakistan and India, basically US end their ties with Pakistan as well as India. USA didn't supported both the countries. Earlier, USA supported Pakistan and India with help of arms and ammunition. Means trade was going on. But after this, means during this war, 1965, USA broke up their ties with the Pakistan as well as India. So, and it was a period of Cold War. So, USSR played an important role. After end of Cold War, do you know there is Tashkent Agreement? You know there was a Tashkent Agreement, and in that Tashkent Agreement, USSR played an important role. USSR act as a mediator. So Tashkent Agreement was basically peace agreement between India and Pakistan after the end of war. Clear? So how foreign policy took the shape? So these are the example. Earlier we had some close affiliation with USA. Why the democratic? But later on we realized is that USA follow realpolitik and USSR is our genuine friend. So, so when USSR supported or provided the mediator, act as a mediator between India and Pakistan after the war, that leads to the Tashkent Agreement. Clear? Now the situation is becoming worst day by day. And why it was so? Because after Indo-Pak war, Pakistan felt humiliated at that time, and there was an internal problem was going on in Pakistan. As you know that Pakistan was divided into two, that is West Pakistan, East Pakistan. The problem was with the East Pakistan. Problem was with the East Pakistan, that is East Pakistan is of Bengali people, West Pakistan was or is consist of mostly Punjabi people, that these Bengalis, they have their own party, they fought the election, and because of that election there was a chances that Bengali person to become the Prime Minister of Pakistan. So it was not accepted by these. It was not accepted by these forces. So what they did, the Western Pakistani people started oppressing the East Pakistani people. That is, Western Pakistani people started oppressing East Pakistani people, and because of that, India is in between them. So, East Pakistani people, that is Bengali, they entered into India. They want to take refuge. They want to take refuge into India. And because of this refuge, it added more burden over India. And here the Western Pakistani people, they ruthlessly suppressed Eastern Pakistani people, and they migrated to India to take a refuge. And India was not that much powerful enough, because we faces the food scarcity and all the problems we're facing. But as the neighboring country is facing the problem, that means you are on the verge of crisis. So then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi want to sort it out this problem, and for that reason what he did, and that is most important, Indira started a world tour. India started a world tour, and in this tour she convinced world the world that India is also victim of Pakistani oppression. Why? Because without any agenda, without any what we can say benefit, India is suffering from their problem, because people are migrated from Pakistan to India. Clear? So in that wake of Eastern Pakistani question, in the wake of Eastern Pakistani question, Indira Gandhi signed a 20-year Indira Gandhi signed a 20-year peace, friendship, and cooperation pact with USSR. Now we made USSR a strong friend. Now we made USSR strong friend for 20 years. So do you really think so that India diluted its policy of non-alignment? Yes, this is the question. This is an important question. So what is the situation here? Here is India, which followed non-alignment policy. Here is USSR, which is communist country. So don't you think so? Don't you think so that India diluted its stand? Yes, everyone. What do you think? Yes, Sankalpa, Preeti, Bhanupriya, and Vasudha, Ashwini, and others. I don't know you are there or not because you didn't respond it. So I don't know whether you are there or not. So don't you think so that India diluted its stand of non-alignment? Yes. Ashwini said they diluted. Okay. What about others? What about others? Do you have any opinion or not? Sankalpa said to some extent it diluted. Okay. What about others? Preeti said that somewhat they did. Ashwini, they took stand of big brother or parent role. I think most of you are quite confused with the India's policy of NAM. NAM is not based on ideology. NAM is not an ideology. What you mentioned, it is based on realism, a pragmatic approach. And in that also we mentioned one more point, that is national interest is important. Do you remember these points? Yes, do you remember? That is, NAM is not based for any purpose. NAM is not having any ideological base. NAM is based on realism and pragmatic approach, national interest, economic development. But as well as NAM is having independent foreign policy. So when we sign 20 years pact with USSR, does it mean that we diluted it? Does it mean we diluted the basic principle of NAMs? No, we didn't dilute it. We didn't diluted it. Why it is so? Because after signing pact also, India was having independent foreign policy. And if you want to take example of it, then very best example is that India criticizes USSR at many platforms. Clear? India criticizes USSR at various times. Whether India compromised its national interest? No. It was the national interest of India which forced India to sign the pact so that India to be a strong state. When India is on the verge of war, India doesn't want to be loose state. India wants some strong support. So this national interest was the basis for the pact. Clear? So India didn't dilute, though it looked like, but India didn't dilute it. Okay? Clear? Very good. So what's the result of it? That is, after signing this, India was very much comfortable, and India-Pak war was there in 1971. India-Pakistan war broke out in 1971. As you know that India was fully prepared for this war. India doesn't want to give any chance to Pakistan to recover from this war. So for that, initially, how foreign policy diplomacy played role, our Prime Minister, visited several countries and convinced the countries that Pakistan is basically problem for Bengali people as well as it is a problem for India. So they made this situation. Along with that, in the domestic, they want to be strong, so they took the help from USSR. So that strong support should be there. And because the result of that, India with a war against Pakistan in 1971 in Bangladesh, in Bengal, and resultant of that is creation of new nation state known as Bangladesh. Clear? Creation of new nation state and of Bangladesh. And you know that it's a historic thing. It's a historic thing that around 90,000 plus soldiers surrendered. 90,000 plus soldiers surrendered. It's the only event in the history. So those who say that, or those who are having misconception that in last 70 years what happened, whether India was a strong country or not. So it is the only event in the world history that 90,000 plus soldiers surrendered without battle, and that creates Pakistan. Sorry, that creates Bangladesh. So the resultant of that is Shimla Agreement. In the Shimla Agreement, we don't want any enmity with the Pakistan. So that's why when India captured the territory of Pakistan, India surrendered it. India leave that because we followed the policy of NAM, that is non-aggression, mutual respect for the territory, mutual respect for the sovereignty. So Shimla Agreement was basically peace agreement between India and Pakistan. Clear? And the resultant of that agreement, that Pakistan agreed that there is a country known as Bangladesh. Yes. And one more thing, one very interesting thing I just want to share with you, how this pact help us. When India and Pakistan war broke out, USA threatened India. USA threatened India and they claimed that India attacked Pakistan. So for that, to tackle that, they sent their 7th Fleet of Navy against India. And at the same time, how diplomacy, her foreign policy played an important role. We already made an agreement with USSR, so USSR was there to stop the Navy of America. But India doesn't require that because before that, India created Bangladesh. Clear? So Shimla agreement was basically a peace agreement between India and Pakistan. Recognition of Bangladesh was there and India surrendered the captured territory because we do not want any enmity with Pakistan, as well as it is not the policy of India to capture the other territory. Clear? So this thing was there till that point. Okay. Till this point, the foreign policy was going on. Now we are having good relation with USSR. USA was not having that much good relations. Clear? And India is adopting more pragmatic approach, and India focuses on, here we mentioned, the modernization of military, modernization of armed forces is one of them. Now what happened in 1979, three events happened in the world and which had a long lasting impact over India. So now you are going to think that event happens in the world and it is having impact over India. How it is possible? How it is possible? Yes, it is possible because we are connecting with each other in terms of trade, in terms of relation, and foreign policy is affected due to this. Clear? The foreign policy is not based on assumption only. Foreign policy is based on realism as well. So when something is happening in the world, it will have definitely impact on our country as well. So what happened? So please let me explain these three events. The first is revolution in Iran. This is the revolution not in a positive way but in a negative way, and that is the Islamic revolution in Iran. Islamic revolution in Iran. Some of you might surprise that once upon time Iran was so liberal that women used to wear western clothes. They were having opinion. Men used to wear western clothes. But now it's not. It is not just about attire, it is about the thinking. The progressive thinking was there. Progressive thinking was there, but when this revolution happened, the fundamentalist policies adopted by Iran. Fundamentalist policies adopted by Iran. So how it has an impact over India? That is our question. So you know that India is dependent on other countries for crude oil, and Iran was and is important supplier of crude oil to India. Clear? Along with that, means this trade is going to suffer to some extent. That was the case. Second case, rise of fundamentalism. is another threat for a secular country like India. Rise of fundamentalism is a threat for secular country like India. Why? Because India belongs to all, whether you are a religious person, whether you are non-religious person, whether you are Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Sikh, Jain, Buddhist, Zoroastrian, etc. In India, we have lots of religion, and we are here for thousands of years because of our culture, okay? Our tolerant policy, religious tolerance is there. But with the rise of fundamentalism, there is a least scope for this word. See, cannot write. So, with the rise of fundamentalism, there is a least scope for tolerance. It may provoke, and it provoke, or it may provoke the fundamentalist people to have something in their own countries. Okay, so there were two interests of India. First is basically related to the oil. So trade is definitely somewhat hampered because of that revolution, and another is a fear of spreading of fundamentalism in our country. That was another important aspect of it. Clear? Next important thing that is related to the seizure of Grand Mosque in Arab. And what happened here? It had an impact over India, means at many places in India people people protested against it. So don't you think it's a good sign? Yes, it's a good sign. It's a good sign. Protesting is a good sign. But if they are supporting the madness, if the protest is supporting to the fundamentalism, that's wrong. And because of that grand seizure of mosque in Saudi Arabia, it hurts the sentiment. It hurts the sentiments of Muslims in India. And when somebody or some event hurted the sentiment, so always remember, fundamentalists are going to take advantage of that thing. They are going to exploit the common people in the name of religion, and it happened to some extent. So when India is like a garden, India is like a garden, and we all are the religious and non-religious people are the flowers of it. So this fundamentalism is going to destroy this garden, because if there is a problem within one community, it is going to affect the other community as well. And yes, it happened in India. Clear? So that is the another incident which having impact over India. And the third thing, that is USSR invaded Afghanistan. And now you are going to think, USSR invaded Afghanistan, then how it is going to affect India? How it is going to affect India? So first, let me tell you why it was happening all. I'm going to discuss this thing in the world history lecture in detail, but just for your sense, for your better understanding, I'm going to tell you this thing. As you know, Afghanistan at that time was under communist rule. Means communist government was there in Afghanistan. And USA, USA at that time, when there is a word communist, they are going to attack that. When there is a word communist, they are going to attack that. And war are having different form. One is direct, another is indirect. And what they did, what USA did, they provoke the fundamentalist here. As you know that most of the communists are atheist. Most or almost communists are atheist. So they provoke the fundamentalists and they say that atheists are ruling your pure land, holy land and all. So what you have to do, you have to wage a war against this communist government. So indirectly USS supported this fundamentally to create a civil war situation in Afghanistan. And these fundamentalists were in position to topple the government at that time. USSR invaded it, and this support to the fundamentalism was so what we can say strong that after the withdrawal of USSR, after the withdrawal of USSR from Afghanistan, these fundamentalists were powerful. These fundamentalists were powerful and they took the control of the country. And this fundamentalism later on leads to terrorism. Yes, exactly, Preeti, Ashwini, terrorism. And you know that India is facing, sorry, India is facing the problem of terrorism, and the most important form of terrorism is basically from state-sponsored terrorism from Pakistan. And Afghanistan and Pakistan shares the border with each other, so terrorism transferred from Afghanistan to Pakistan, and now they try to enter into India, and that's the real problem for India's internal security. Clear? So these three events were having long-lasting impact over India. Next, next thing, as you know that in 1884, assassination of Indira Gandhi. After the assassination of Indira Gandhi, her son Rajiv Gandhi became the Prime Minister of India. As he was a visionary person, not just in the form of political sense, but in the form of economy as well as in the form of foreign policy. He was a young blood of that time, and it was very difficult during that time that young person gets a chance to lead the country, and he was one of them. Though he made some mistakes as well, but in the foreign policy, his contribution is also important in this phase. So when we mention the phase two, we mention about Shastri ji. When we mention about Indira Gandhi, then we mention about the Rajiv Gandhi. So what he did, he took the step towards modernization of army. No, we already took it. Then modernization of economy. That is most important. And yes, for strategic purpose, for security purpose, armed forces is important. So he focuses on this aspect as well. Modernization of economy and armed forces. So with the rise of Rajiv Gandhi, there is a beginning of new era, and this era is having two aspects. The first is basically regionalism, and another is basically internationalism. The another is internationalism. Regionalism, best example is SARC. Best example is SARC, that is South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation. South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation. Along with that, in internationalism, he started improving relation with China, USA, and Southeast Asian countries. Southeast Asian countries. Clear? How it is so? Because he said once upon a time that India lost the opportunity of first and second revolution. That means first industrial revolution, second industrial revolution, and we don't want to lose the third industrial revolution, that is related to software. He said that the first revolution, somehow I made a mistake. So first revolution is basically Renaissance. We missed that opportunity. Second, that is industrial revolution, and third revolution is a technological revolution, and we don't want to miss that opportunity. We want to grab it, that is information and communication technology, and for that reason you have to take support from other countries as well. You should not to stick to the rigidity. You have to adopt a more flexible approach, and the resultant of that is basically he improved the relation with China, USA, and South Asian country. Very good example that he was the first prime minister visited, first prime minister I'm saying, first prime minister visited China after Nehru. First prime minister visited China after Nehru. Along with that, he visited USA. He visited USA as well, and he had established a strong relation with the South Asian countries, and because of this foundation, later on, because of this foundation, a new policy developed during the third phase, and that is known as Look East policy. Clear? So he laid the foundation, and later on the successive government took the space and developed a policy known as Look East policy. Clear? And yes, here is the most important aspect, that is economic aspect. Modernization of economy, modernization of armed forces is an important aspect of this time. Clear? Self-help. This policy, the phase 2 is known as self-help approach. Clear, everyone? Clear to you? Yes? Any question till now? Any question till now? Anyone? So, if we want to sum up the phase 2, then phase 2 is like this. Here, the phase 2. The first phase, that is belongs to Nehru. Second phase means in this phase, second phase, that is Shastri. Then Indira Gandhi. Then Rajiv Gandhi. Nehru, as very brief time was there with Nehru. So first thing, they adopted, that is modernization of military. Okay, Shastri is also having brief period. So what he did, he played an important role in this aspect. He continued the Nam. He continued the Nam with realism and Tashkent agreement. We mentioned that, and unfortunately, we lost our one of the brightest prime minister at Tashkent. And you know there are some, what we can say, theories and all are there related to the death of Mr. Shastri. Indira Gandhi, when she assumed the power at that time, the first important thing was that India was facing too much challenges, one from the Chinese side, as nuclear test was conducted by China, other from Pakistan. Why? The Bangladeshi problem was there. Clear? So she sorted out all the problem with the diplomacy and the treaty with USSR for 20 years, and the resultant of that is the end of East Pakistan and beginning of new country known as Bangladesh. Clear? It's a diplomatic as well as military victory for India. Clear? Next, and yes, one more contribution. Do not forget her. She conducted the nuclear test known as Smiling Buddha. Rajiv Gandhi, more pragmatic leader, more positive approach, and he focuses on economy along with the arms, along with the arms. Clear? He changed the attitude of Indian foreign policy towards China, towards USA, and towards Southeast Asian countries. Southeast Asian countries. And here also we mentioned three incidences happened in 1979. This affect India for a long, that is revolution in Iran, then seizure of Grand Mosque in Saudi Arab. It hurts the sentiments of Muslims in India, and it created a favorable ground for rise of fundamentalism. And then USSR invaded Afghanistan. It is having long impact because it allowed. Yes, everyone, am I visible to you? Yes, extremely sorry for the network issues were there. So, do you have any question related to the phase 2 of Indian foreign policy? If you have, please ask me. Or if you are having any question related to the phase 1 of the foreign policy, please ask. No question, no issues. Anyone? Good. So, as I'm taking a lecture of the world history as well as international relation. So, international relation I'm taking lecture for 1 hour till the Diwali. After Diwali, I'm going to continue this lecture for 2 hours. So please take a note of it, because right now you are new here. Yes, so it takes some time to attend both the lecture and all. So that's why we are going to conclude this session after hour. But after Diwali, we are going to continue this lecture for 2 hours. So I don't think so you have any problem. So if you are having problem, you can connect with me at my Telegram channel. Yes, this is my address for Telegram channel. Sorry, at Unacademy. underscore Harsh V 10. You can connect with me, and those who do not have this thing Telegram channel, then they can connect with me with my other social media platform channel. Okay, so I hope you understood it very well. Thank you very much for your valuable time. If you are having any question, any queries, please let me know. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Take care. Bye.